I set it up probably about 2.5 weeks ago. I put it together just on Facebook. Unfortunately, we had to close down Sunflowers itself. Well, not completely closed down. Just we couldn't obviously let our groups run because of what was going on, and we had to close down our counselling sessions just until further notice. So we thought, okay, what can we do to support our community and use the volunteers that we have in the meantime to support everyone? So obviously, I was looking to see if there was any mutual aid groups in Hailsham area and surrounding areas, which there wasn't one for Hailsham. I was already admin for the one in Eastbourne, so I was admin for them, and I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to make our own one under Sunflowers called Hailsham Crisis Support. And in aid of that, obviously, it's under the Sunflowers name. And I thought, well, however we set it up, people will be able to look us up and be able to see that we are a registered community interest company. And those out there will not feel that they're an approach like it's a fraud thing or anything like that. So I made up little flyers for volunteers to go out and put into people's doors. We also sent them over to GPs, and words got round, and other organisations got involved and wanted some of the little flyers that I'd made up, which was great. So obviously they're aware that we were here, and it mostly started up just people ringing up, just saying, like, we're fine, we don't need anything, but it's just nice to know that you're there and they can get in contact with us. More people got involved, wanted to be part of what they're doing. A lot of people had to come out of their own work, so they're being stuck at home with nothing to do. And obviously, there's so much things that you can do, even if you are isolated, with helping us at the moment. So, I've got people helping, coordinating the volunteers. We've set up we've gone onto an app called Slack where we're on coordinating all the volunteers at the moment. So we've got one to go out leaflet dropping. I just had to get it all confirmed. So we've now partnered up with Hailsham FM, which is actually with the King's Head and Cackleberry. They're both linked together, so they're supporting us through with Sunflowers. So there's some new leaflets which have just recently gone out. So some people might be receiving these ones now. So just for other people to know that these are still linked together, it just means that now we have extra support, which is great. And we're now going through on the radio, which is more helpful for those who are listening. So we've got Helen. So Helen's details will be on there. So if you wanted any support at all, so the support that we are giving is picking up shopping and medication. We're also delivering a service which is a friendly phone call for anyone who is vulnerable and isolated and on their own. We are kind of broadening that out to that being people who are suffering with mental health, anxiety. They don't even have to be suffering with that, to be honest. It is a very lonely time for a lot of people at the moment. We've connected up with SCDA, and they because they do the befriending service, they have got in contact with me and asked if we can refer some of the vulnerable people for the phone calls over to them, just to keep their volunteers working as well. And I've also heard from Citizens Advice who also wanting to help out with the friendly phone calls, which is a lot easier for us to just refer over, which is great. So it's quite shows that all the community organisations are all kind of working together at this time, which is really good. The shopping and medication, again, we've still got very strict criteria of who goes out and gets shopping, and especially medication.
What you've seemed to have achieved in literally 2.5 weeks, as you said, seems incredible. So, I mean, what response have you really had from the community since setting this up?
I think a lot of people do know of Sunflowers anyway, because we've kind of jumped onto a few things on Facebook where there has been families in need, and we've kind of jumped on and supported them. Okay, Sunflowers isn't exactly about that, because we are more mental health and well-being, but that should really kind of be for everyone, not just those who are just going through a bit of a hard time. Really, everyone at this present moment is going through a hard time, so we want to support the community. But what we've had back is brilliant. I've had every day we've got a phone number to contact through Sunflowers, which is 07851 963 253, and that comes usually straight to the voicemail, which ask for people to leave a message, and I get multiple voicemails. If I turn that phone on now, I will have so many voicemails on there from people, just to get back. And not all of them, it's about that they need the shopping done. A lot of them are just touching base to say, look, we've received your flyer, or we found you online, and we just want to touch base, and just, so you don't forget about us, which is really lovely. And I think I responded to all of my voicemails yesterday, and they're just so happy to just have someone. They know that something's there to help them, and it's took a huge weight off them, worrying that they're isolated and they've got no one who can help them. So it's nice for them to know that we are there. And I get lovely emails from people. Oh, it's been really, really lovely, actually. And people are just so thankful that people are helping them.
It's amazing, isn't it, that it's a very worrying time for a lot of people out there, especially those that are on their own and necessarily can't get out. And yesterday, we've only just really published information for people that are vulnerable and maybe not yet registered as vulnerable on the local authorities, and I feel as if that information's only really just come about. Do you think there's been enough support until now?
I don't think there has been, to be honest, with that information coming out. I'm an NHS worker myself. My family work for NHS, and they're in London, so it's quite interesting to what's going on there with what support and people who come in that catchment. About if they are in that vulnerable stage or their health problems, they should be having that support. It seems to be working a lot quicker in London, and the letters are being sent out a lot quicker. Here I heard that everyone should have a letter by Monday, but I've still been just kind of answering people on other threads where it may be nothing, related to sunflowers of what we're doing, about, they are a vulnerable person. They could be a disabled person who has carers coming into their home. They might not have a heart condition or type 1 diabetes or anything like that. They could just generally be a disabled person in their home who can't get around and can't leave their house. Well, to me, that is a vulnerable person, isn't it? And that person, for example, would be someone who hasn't received a letter. And I don't understand why a disabled person would not receive a letter. So I don't think the letters are going out how they should be, but GPs should be also supporting this. So if no one's got a letter, do call your GPs and speak to them, because they should be able to support this 100%, because this is from the NHS, that side of things. I think it's all going to kickstart a bit more, and there'll be more people getting more involved and more organisations. I know you've got the NHS volunteers as well. I haven't actually heard from NHS volunteers at all. We're not connected to them at all. And I haven't really touched base with them.
I think this coming week, a lot of things will be changing, because the local community hubs are now kicking into action. As you say, the NHS volunteers may start, being recruited. So I think obviously we are in early days as well of the whole pandemic. So generally, I know you're really busy, and I need to let you crack on to get those messages out there. But what would be your message to people out there through this podcast that need help or can offer help?
To everyone, I think everyone just needs to be really mindful about the situation at the moment. We can't change the situation that we're in, so we just need to be mindful about everything. We're in a world now where we're not going to be starved. We're not, we're not going to be left at home hungry or have no medical attention coming to us. And I understand that everyone's anxiety levels, everyone's scared and everyone's worried, but just be mindful. And if you could just think about that every day, it'll be very, very very good for them to just be mindful of everything they read, everything they eat, literally everything about their day. Obviously, for those who want to help and support us, that'll be fantastic. And I'll give you our details, just is that okay to do that on here?
Absolutely, yeah, go for it.
Yep. Okay, so I'll give you the phone numbers first. So obviously, because we are connected to Helen at the King's Head as well, Cackleberry, which is through Hailsham FM. Her direct number would be 01323 44047, and Sunflower's CIC mobile number, which will always go to voicemail, but we will collect it, is 07851 963 253. And the email addresses are, so for Helen again, is Helen, HELEN, at Kingshead Cackleberry at .co.uk, and Sunflowers one is sunflowersproject@outlook.com.
Listen, you've been great so far, and and I know that there's a lot of people out there thankful for what you're doing. So keep up the good work. It's people like yourselves and the people offering help that keeps this community going in a time of crisis. So Hailsham News is here to support you all the way through, and stay safe. And I hope to speak to you again.
And you, thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed for your time.